We are live.
Really?
Yep. So look at Ryan. He's got a pretty haircut.
Oh, he's all coiffed up the top. He's going to sit
Wait,
down.
A little bit of quaffing.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. I like it.
I'm getting there tomorrow. My wife had to. My wife had to schedule it because she knows that if she wouldn't have, I would have never gotten a haircut. It'd just keep growing.
I cut mine. I got rid of all mine on top. But so here's I went through with a high razor, then went through with a cut one, and then wet shaved it. I still missed a sodding tuft here. It's like somewhere back here, and I can feel it in the breeze. And like I wet shaved it. I mean, this freaking tuft managed to survive like three different types of an attack. I don't know how the hell the stupid thing's made of, but I need to be made of that, I think.
Right.
Ah, all right, so
Uh,
getting up on the YouTubes.
Today is Thursday.
Yeah, all right. This really sums up the whole thing. Okay, so I take my glasses off so I can actually clean the bloody things, and I'm looking at the screen up here and I can't even see what the frickin' hell I'm looking for. All right, sod this getting old shit. Seriously. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, this evening's conversation, let me just make sure this is muted. It is. So this evening's
Hey, you
conversation.
and you and
Hmm?
I talked at the same. You and I talked at the same conference this week.
Yeah, yeah, which one was no, hang on. That was earlier this week. I've done like four
Yeah,
conferences.
and
It's scary.
NWACC
Yeah,
or whatever. The
yeah,
colleges.
Northwest. Yeah, all the colleges up in the Northwest.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was a total. I did Redmond again today. I did Redmond a couple of weeks ago. We did the history stuff, and then did Redmond again today. And they've got this new flipping platform, another platform, new platform. Wasn't able to test it. Got onto. I'm keynoting the damn thing this morning. Got onto this damn thing. Couldn't get slides to work. Got audio. Couldn't get my video to work. The whole lot. No matter three different platforms. And I'm like, fuck it. So we ended up just doing a Q&A and just had a fun conversation with the audience for
That's
and
cool.
a half hour, 40 minutes, just basically ad-libbed it. Yeah, but that NWAA one was fun. That was actually really cool. And I love seeing the alliance. I love seeing that there was like all the colleges and all the universities coming together. It was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you spoke there yesterday, and I was on Tuesday. I
Nice.
talked about simplicity, and so I asked about how your talk went today, because one of the people that is kind of an organizer of that, Amy
Yeah.
McLaughlin,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she's on our daily insanity check-ins in the mornings, and
Oh,
she goes way back with Ryan.
oh, cool.
Yeah, so
For
I asked her
sure.
this morning. I'm like, so how did it go with Chris? And she's like, it was good. He behaved himself. He didn't, he kept the swear words to a minimum, and I was like, good for him, good boy.
I was mostly behaved. Yeah, it was good. I had yeah, it's nuts. Jen, who looks after me down in the office and all that stuff down here, is looking after me and yelling at me because I think I've still got I missed a few. So I still have like 21 or 23 left to do between now and the end of the year still. It's just like it's nuts. It's good. It's kind of cool. And it's that whole, with the widget stuff that we're building and other things, it's like, okay, it's how does it build the brand or whatever the hell it is, awareness and a whole bunch of other things. But did you see what
Yeah.
I put out the other day? I forgot to. I was going to tag you guys. I was going to send it to you guys. I put a post out last week about just the overwhelming requirements from, hey, we'd love you to come give a talk to, well, hey, we would love you to give a talk. Can you give a, we need you to do a pre-test and then a test of that test. We need an audio video check. You need to do this. By the way, can you do that? And all of a sudden that 1 hour talk ends up as literally like a day's worth or almost a day's worth of effort. And
Yeah,
so,
I put the word out earlier this week that I'm not seeking any talking between now and at least the end of the year. I got way too much shit to do. I've
yeah,
got. I mean, Ryan, you know what we got going on. I mean, I got like a task list of like 70 things, and it's like I just can't. Sorry. So even if people come and me to talk anymore this year, I'm just not doing it. Canceling everything.
I put a LinkedIn post out. Let me see if I can grab it. Jen, so Jen put it together. It was actually really good, but we got it from Channy. and it was absolutely fantastic. It's I'll drop it up in the main post, but yeah, Channy Sims and Jen put it together, and then I just went through and did some other stuff on it, and kind of cool. It was really cool, but it's basically I'll put it in our chat, and I'll also put it up on the thing as well. But it's a one pager, and if you're asked to do a talk, you literally send it to the organizer.
I saw that. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah, it was. And it's because
love
I'm
it.
same thing. It's just like I'm running around like headless chicken. We're trying to build up the widget project. We have a name for the widget now. We have an official name for the widget. I'm holding it back for the minute because we need to do some stuff with it, but we have a name, and you guys will appreciate it. I'll tell you guys off air on what it is, but I think you will absolutely appreciate it.
I'm excited to see it, man. Excited to hear more about it.
It's actually really cool. I'm really pleased with what we're coming up with. I have no clue how we're going to distribute it or anything else. It's going to be through providers. I don't want to do direct stuff, and we'll just figure it all out. But for me, it's like if we can make a difference with people in like the small to medium business and give them eyes and awareness and accountability and all those things, and screw it, we're going to do something like this and do it properly. So
yeah, that's cool, man. We had a really good talk this week with do you remember his name, Ryan, from the Cyber Resilience Project?
Neil Farrell.
That's a sad picture. Is that your RV? Yes. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
such a sad picture. Oh, I feel bad for the poor thing. Oh my
Well,
God.
we talk about things breaking down. I figured.
I like the brain had processed Evan's background, but it hadn't processed it, and it literally I'm like, I just saw the walking frames. That's hilarious. That's freaking awesome. My daughter, apart from calling me old and moldy, and my Jen has basically said they're going to buy me a freaking cane for my birthday, which is coming up soon.
It's fun.
I'm drinking water, by the way, because I can't drink alcohol at the moment. I'm not allowed to because I'm on little green tablets and Tylenol for this freaking gout. And so I'm starting to walk better. I can actually, yeah. Holy, no, and that's basically what kicked off this whole bloody conversation about getting old and breaking shit and what the hell do we do? I woke up Saturday morning and I was not a happy bunny when I woke up Saturday morning. Not a happy bunny at all. Not a happy bunny lying down, not a happy bunny couldn't stand up, literally could not stand up. Even if I moved my right foot any different way, I mean, it was in agony. And so I'm like, what the hell have I done? What have I bashed? What has happened? I was out with Jen with the horses the previous night. I'm like, did one of the horses stand on me and I didn't notice it? Not that you would notice a 1,500-pound animal just trampling over you. And I'm like, what did I kick? Who did I kick or what did I kick? And what the fucking hell has gone on? And ended up very quickly. Thankfully, Jen used to be an EMT. So she looked at it and she's like, ooh. And then, you start Googling and all this crap. And it's like, oh, this is probably gout. And went to the doctor's Monday, Tuesday, whatever day it was. Whenever it was, I can't remember. And gout apparently doesn't run in the family. Talked to my mother, doesn't run in the family. Nobody else in the family's got the damn thing, but apparently this dumbass managed to get it. So,
Moldy.
Yeah, old and moldy. My daughter basically, I Monday, Saturday, Sunday, I was almost useless. Almost useless. Absolutely crazy.
Doesn't look good.
And so, it got me thinking about the fact, we're getting older, we're breaking down. I mean, I'm going to get yelled at because...
Speak for yourself, man. I'm a spring chicken.
You can be the spring chicken. They took my blood pressure when I went into the doctors. They do you weight in the blood pressure. They took my blood pressure and they just looked at me. I'm like, so how bad? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm going to keep that one to myself. And I'll do breathing exercises.
Well, I've been on high blood pressure medication for the last 3-4 years. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've managed to avoid that, but
that's hereditary in my family.
That's unfortunately
Thanks,
what
Dad.
nailed my father. He went in complaining of a chest pain and never came back out again. And it was the main artery down here, unfortunately, burst or whatever, and they didn't realize it or something. So yeah,
you can't just tape. You can't just tape that shit up.
apparently not. No, apparently not. And he was, he was in a country where maybe things are a little different, should we say? So yeah, we're getting old. I'm not sure I like this time. We're getting old stuff. We're getting old. Allergies are getting bloody worse. I'm a part of it's probably the
I
damn.
know.
All right, so it's not just
I'm
me.
sneezing.
No, it's not just you.
No. I've been sneezing like a son of a bitch, and my
Yeah.
wife is like, "What's wrong with you? Are you sick?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I feel fine. Eyes are watery. I'm itchy. I'm like, what the hell's going on?"
Yeah, I'm popping allergy tablets like they're going out of freaking business. I didn't a couple of days ago, and I woke up and hobbled around the place, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm coming down with COVID. I'm snuffling, throat still scratching, shit. I ended up walking around with a thermometer for a while, and I'm like, great, that's it. I got fucking gout and COVID. Yay, just take me out in the back now, shoot me, put me in this fertilizer.
That's probably one of the shittier parts of 2020 is we're entering the do I got the Rona or just the regular crud,
Well,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was it. And in the end, popped an allergy tab. Like half a day later, quarter of a day later, all of a sudden, like, yeah, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's this whole winter season for everybody. You're gonna get a sniffle.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be, oh shit, I got the Rona.
Yeah.
I just have the regular flu.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And the age thing is just, the age thing is nuts. The glasses, this is pissing me off.
So, yes, as one who recently had to acknowledge the fact that their arm would not get any longer, because I was doing that shit. I was doing the, I'm reading the container, out here.
Oh, no.
And my wife's like, dude, I can't see shit. I'm like, what is it? Like zooming in and out. Can I? No, I don't know what it says. And these are things like, medication bottles, things I should probably,
important stuff.
I can't even read.
Isn't the rule too? Do you always?
I can't even read that shit. I almost took one of my wife's. She's got a thyroid issue. I almost took one of those the other morning, thinking it was my blood pressure medication. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Taking my medication like every morning." You don't have a thyroid problem. I'm like, "The fuck are you talking about?" She goes, "That's my medication." I'm like, "Oh, it looked like mine. Same bottle." Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm supposed to be wearing bifocals.
Oh, so they were going to do tries. I had a pair when I went in last time. They were like, okay, you need to get your bifocal, trifocal, whatever the hell thing. Progressives. I'm sorry, they call them progressives. They don't call them bifocals. They call them progressives for the old farts who don't want to feel like old farts. So they gave these things to me. Oh God, I felt like I was going to throw up. I wore them on and off for like about a week. I'm like, this can't deal with this. Went back in. I'm like, do me a favor, go back, give me normal glasses, and then I have my work glasses that I should be wearing now. But yeah, when I'm on the iPad, I'm like, my glasses are up here like this. I'm fine. When I get close, it's perfectly okay. But like from here to the screen, I'm screwed. It's like,
yeah. I was just watching a documentary before the show with my wife downstairs, and I couldn't read it was they had a bunch of subtitles because there was foreign language stuff.
Yeah.
And I couldn't read what they were saying. I'm like, what was that? Pause that and go back because I can't see what they're saying. And I got in a lot of trouble because I didn't put my glasses on.
Yeah,
put your glasses on.
That happens to me all the time. Put your glasses on.
All right, so here's a question. Actually, talking about glasses, here's an actual no. Usually takes 3 weeks. Yeah, that shit ain't happening. I was chucking up after 1 week. Vicky just put us there like progressive. Yeah, not happening. Not doing it. Just not doing it. Sorry. I will deal with putting my glasses up on my head and wear my computer glasses when I'm meant to be in front of the computer. Here's a question though, because I looked into it and I backed away from doing it. But the LASIK correction stuff, there's a bunch of people have done it, has been successful. There's that whole thing, it's worth doing it. Eventually it gets worse again, yada, yada, yada. I mean, at this point, I'm like, I'm just going to wear glasses and be done with it.
Yeah, I don't want to have my the lens of my eye cut off with a razor blade every 10 years and then vacuum sucked off, polished, put back on. No.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I showed you before how you can do it at home. There's a laser right there. You just put it right in there.
Now you're just showing off with your proper mice, aren't you? Because this piece of
Right.
apple crap just fucking burps and farts every time the dog goes near
I know
it.
people that swear by the LASIK, but I just no thanks. I know what the procedure is, and it's not.
Yeah, I can't. No matter the odds, no matter whatever, I can't do it. It's one of those things. I just don't feel. So I mean, we're all going through this, and I mean, you look at, that's what I put in the intro to this one. It's like, for God's sakes, we're not far off of like, I mean, driving out to DEF CON, I mean, literally, how many years is it going to be before I plot my course out to DEF CON between fucking toilet stops, not petrol stops? I mean, because my colostomy bag's full. I can't hack just now. I got to go on. No, quit that shit. I don't want to be doing this. It's at that point. It's like, okay,
you can just get a bigger bag.
Wheel around a 15-gallon drum. Just be done with it.
big hefty cinch sack.
Oh no, just
So,
yeah.
All right. So
I actually like getting older.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Evan. What?
I was just saying, I actually like getting older. I'm enjoying it.
So here's an observation. In my youth, I wondered why the old people were always short-tempered, crabby, knew what was going on, and didn't have any time for your shit. And I pondered this. And I was like, why are they all just mean and short-tempered? And as I age, as the days go by, I get it. I get it.
Oh.
And it's I start to get it more. It makes a lot more sense to me now than it ever did. But part of that too is like you kind of talked about in your post. So as the torch holders,
Yeah.
right? When we're going to be the torch passers, I was really thinking about this, and I came across an interesting quandary. So analog human, digital world.
Yeah.
Well, analog humans that were born and raised in the digital world have a different framework in which they operate, in which they learn, in which they're just wired a little bit different. And so when it comes to communicating to them, we have to meet them where they are. We have to abandon the traditional model of meet us where we are because we are the experienced ones. So learn from us, Padawan, come this way. We're going to have to go to where they are and figure out how to impart information to them, because they're not going to learn our old ways. So we have to learn the new ways to convey the old knowledge. That was my conclusion when I was thinking about this.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, and it sucks in some ways because, I mean, let's face it, we've been banging on about communication since quite some time. Let's put it that way, and about talking in a simple language, talking in English, talking in business terms, yada yada yada. And now, I did the Redlands conference today. And there's a bunch of us on it, and it was really nice. The afternoon one, we did a panel, and we were talking about how our generation is, we've lost. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. We look at the attack vectors and everything else, and I don't believe that we're in a good place. You look at the generation behind us, the younger generation behind us, and arguably they're screwed up as well. But what they were saying is there's much more observations of the kids that are coming through like the junior schools and into middle school and stuff like that, where they're actually starting to ask some interesting questions. Some of them are really starting to question, well, why should I do this? Why should I do this? Why should I put my information on this? And so it's really interesting that it almost feels like there's two generations, us and the folks that are behind us, that are screwed, for a nicer way of putting it. But the following generation has somehow or other learned or starting to learn more effectively at a much younger age about some of these issues and challenges. And you're right, it's like, okay, even my daughter maybe is too old for it. It's like, how do we teach the kids that are coming out of like kindergarten and everything else in a way that they can get settled with it? Because I'll be honest, my goal is not to get much. I mean, I'm still working on, I actually changed my systems out now. I've got an entirely new system to go play silly buggers with brain stuff. I literally am not kidding. I want to get to a point. I think in my lifetime I can get to a point where I can basically synthesize myself as a digital system. At which point I'm going to be like, dear body, love, hugs, and kisses. Go to you. And
To
you know,
quote Dolly Parton, take this gout and shove it.
yeah, pretty much. That'll be the one. That'll be the one. And then the digital version of me will just keep on going. Now, is there consciousness? I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one. But that's what I'm working on. And that, to me, is where that young generation is going to be able to actually understand that much more effectively, and what needs to happen and what doesn't need to happen, etc., etc. But yeah, I keep joking about wanting to retire to like an AS400 in New Zealand, and I'm actually not far off of it. Well, I'm not far. That's the plan. And then we get really into the whole esoteric. What is a human? What are we? You know, are we literally ones and zeros? Or is there something else to us? Yeah, I get some really interesting stuff at that point.
That's a deep conversation, man.
Oh, it is really, and I'm happy we can go into it.
And you said that we got to keep this tonight, so we can't go 2 hours.
Aaron,
that conversation,
and then I throw that in.
That conversation, yeah, I mean that one is like
Show,
okay, this is gonna be like 5, hours or more. Because I think but I think, when I think about my own kids, like I try to prioritize my life, right? My number one priority in my life is my faith. My next thing in my priority is my wife. The next thing is my kids. The next thing is, so work is like down there ways, even though I spend and I get my stuff mixed up time. So when I think of that, like, my wife isn't a future generation. My wife is my mate, right? And so that's one of the things I really enjoy about getting older, because the thing is with women, from my perspective anyway, women age like fine wine. Men age like milk. We get lumpy and stinky, but women are like just, I don't know. My wife just keeps getting hotter. And I'm like, damn, lady. So there's that, but that's a whole other thing. But then my kids, right? My big goal in my life with my kids was that I wanted my kids to be better people than I was. Just be better than me. And that doesn't mean accomplishments. That doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you have to start your own business. It doesn't mean you have to follow in my footsteps. Just be a better person than I was. And they've already surpassed that. By the time, I was in my 20s. I mean, I had already been in jail probably 4 or 5 times. The age of 13, I had my first felony. I mean, it's like my kids, I set the bar really low for them, so they didn't have to go very far.
Yes. Yep.
But, and so then I think of like, okay, what am I going to leave behind for my company? The people that are under my care, the people that are, that's why I'll never sell FR Secure. I already made that deal. I told that because I'm not in this shit for the money. I'm in this shit for a legacy. I'm in this shit for, the employees. I'm in this shit for making a difference in the world. And that's what I'm going to leave behind. So I don't know, when you talk about like the end, what can we do to leave behind? So my kids are already better off than I was. So that's cool. Now my next circle of influence is like, work. And I think we owe it to impart as much wisdom as we can. The writings that you write, Chris, those things live on forever. They're always there. That was a big purpose for writing the book, was like, there'll always be a book.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And it's wisdom, right? That's what I have to offer now. I have to offer, I don't know all the latest shit because I don't hack anymore. I stopped doing that 10 years ago, right? I mean, I could pick it back up again because I understand the basics. I understand the fundamentals. I understand how computers work. I understand how a network works. I understand packets. I understand all that. So I can pick it back up again. But what I can impart is like, don't take shortcuts. So many kids nowadays get out of college and they want to be like a hacker, right? And so they're like, I'm going after my OSCP. I'm like, dude, you got like 6 months experience. What the hell? You dumbass. Do you know how a network works? A what? A network. How two computers talk on a network? Well, sort of. Well, start there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do, with just trying to impart as much wisdom as I can before,
I think
I
that's,
am no longer.
and that maybe is a good thing. So I can't say much about it at the moment because I've been told I'm not allowed to. They're making an official announcement in a couple of weeks, but we're going to be doing more. So the hey, let's go live in an AS400. We might be having this conversation not just here but elsewhere as well. So there might be some fun stuff on that one. Another kind of podcasty thing going on, which would be kind of fun.
That is cool.
And that one's going to be throwing crystal balls not just into the future, but back into the past as well. So, Ryan, to your point, looking at not just how we've evolved, but how we have learned. How do we change on that one? How do we evolve? How are we going to learn? How is society going to learn? Start with the easy one. And then kind of going backwards and forwards and hopping all over the place on that. So that's actually, I'm kind of looking forward to that, because that really does get down to it. It's like, back to, it's like we're breaking to pieces. No two ways about it, spring chicken or otherwise. Our asses aren't getting any younger. And it really is, it's like, how can I take, 40 years, almost 40 years of this and put it down? Some of it's useful. Some of it, they're going to be like, what the hell is this? But some of this is going to be useful enough to go, okay, here's the mistakes he made. Let's not make the same ones. Here's the areas where they did, all of that is just like, okay, I just want to be able to go, ka-junk. And part of the reason I'm doing that, to be perfectly honest as well, is to see if I can leave a legacy of that as somebody can actually index it and use it. And some fun, stupid things I'm messing with.
I think too that, so, you talk about, we get old, we break down. I wonder what is the tipping point where experience becomes a barrier to innovation? It seems that some people, not all, but some people, achieve a certain level of experience, and then that it seems to set in. It seems to become concrete. Stuck in one's ways, if you will.
This is the way. This is the way it should be done, because this is the way we've always done it. Mathematics,
and just physics, it can't work that way. Yeah. I run into that more. There's this is how it's been done angle, but it seems that there's a defeatist attitude of it can't be done that way. Right? It hasn't been done that way, therefore it can't be done that way.
That's what I love. Okay, so perfect example, like probably the most well-known example of that, Einstein. Let's talk about theory of relativity for a second, and speed of light. Can't go any faster. I call bullshit. I call absolute bullshit on that.
That is.
We just haven't figured out how to do it effectively. We know we can do it with, at a quantum level, we already know we can do it with, brain's gone to sleep. This is the problem getting old. We already know we can do some of that, but like taking the human, whatever the human will end up being, and moving that faster than light, I call bullshit. Because again, we only have our frame of reference. So to your point, you boil that down to the lives that we have now. I'd argue the three of us, and quite a lot of other people in our peer group, still have that open mentality, which is like, well, okay, this is where I've done it. Oh, okay, that's cool. Come and show me. Come and show me the better way to do this. Whether we can understand it or not, we still have that curiosity to learn different ways of doing things.
Yeah, and honestly, the day I lose that is the day I'm done on this ride.
Yes. Okay, there we go. Perfect way of looking at it.
But we'll never lose that, because we're not focused on innovation. We're focused on problems. You see a problem and you figure out a way to fix it, right? We've been racking our head so many problems for the last 20 years, and it's the same 30 years, the same problems over and over again. We just had this discussion yesterday in the Cyber Resilience Project talk. Right? He said this mental health problem in our industry, nothing seems to stick. And it's like, well, all right, what's the problem? Right? And we had this discussion, and he named two things that he keeps hearing as being problems. I'm like, one is people won't report things because they don't feel like it's going to make a difference. Nothing's going to change. Right? Well, that's the problem. Let's solve the problem. I think as long as you and I and us, that's how you defeat that bullshit, is the problem still exists. So you're not done,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Ryan, we'll be doing this until we're 90. And same with you, Chris. I mean,
Oh yeah.
till we die, because the problems are still there.
Yeah.
I figure if I make it past 75, I'm betting I'm on better odds than I ever gave myself with the stupid shit I've gone through and the amount of lives I've already worked through on this time
Well,
around.
that's exactly why you'll get 90 plus. That seems to be how it works, by the way. If you've got stubborn in you, you get an extra 10. Like automatic.
Yeah,
Stubborn buys you an extra 10.
yeah, stubborn definitely. No two ways about that one. Stubborn as a whatever. Yeah.
Well, and
Right.
from my belief system, if you're still here, there's still a purpose.
Yeah,
So
that's
still
a
keep
good way of
pushing.
looking at it. That's a good way of looking at it.
When I've
Yeah.
hit multiple deer on motorcycles, crashed everything I've ever driven, cancer, I still don't live right. I'm drinking energy drinks again. I only have one
I
kidney. What the
saw
fuck?
that one. I was gonna say something. I saw the dreaded cans come back again.
Right?
Water,
But
come on.
God keeps the lungs filled with oxygen, the heart beating. I guess I still have a purpose, so I'm working. But I think that's another thing that we can teach, this next generation. It seems like so much of the world today is easy button, shortcut, instant gratification, where we've lost, in some respects, the value of hard work. It's almost like I have to work for something, can't automate something, then it must not be worth it. Well, that's not true. There's lots of things that require hard work, right? Hard work pays off. I mean, that's what I was taught on the football field 100,000 years ago. Hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Well, and some things just take the time they take. I was talking to my boy about this the other day. I make my ribs. My ribs take 6 hours. That's what it takes. If you shortcut it, if you cheat it, you don't get the result that you get if you do it the right way. Yeah, they'll turn out. Yes, they'll be edible, but they won't be what they could have been because you cheated. So, it's and some shit just takes what it takes. It's the old project management methodology. I can't put 9
Hey,
women and get a baby in 1 month.
by the way, Ryan won the competition last weekend. Last weekend we had like 40 some odd people over at my house for a barbecue
Yeah.
cook-off and a chili cook-off. And so we had a whole bunch of FR Secure people, Security Studio people, and then just people that I know. And Ryan beat me. I made a brisket. Ryan made ribs. Ribs won.
I didn't beat you. I just had ribs.
So
Well, but they were good. They were really, really good, man.
I think they're okay. They're good.
So that's actually brings us up a really interesting point. I mean, both of you know that I enjoy my whiskey, my proper single malt scotches. I enjoy my bourbons and my American whiskeys and stuff from all over the world. Now, traditionally, that has taken an extended period of time to be able to mature. You put it in a barrel and you let Mother Nature and, the angels share get on with their stuff. And at a predetermined point in time, out it pours and off you go to enjoy it. Now, Diageo and a couple of the other places over the last several years have been working on speeding that process up. And a lot of the reason has been because we're running out of like some of the stocks of whiskeys. So, you look at the stuff coming out of Japan, unfortunately, they're running out of some of the fantastic stuff just because of stock and everything else. US is the same, Europe, stuff, Scotland, definitely. So they started looking at how they can manufacture whiskey much more effectively and much faster. In other words, how can they do something with pressure, with temperature, with maturation cycles, with heat color cycles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is always one of those amazing things. You can combine so many of those things into a 24-hour to a 2-week to a couple of week period, and you can get something that's really interesting. But it doesn't have quite that same life that the 12, 15, 18-year-old. It's as near as damn it, but it isn't the same. There's some amazing stuff they've been doing on that, like Jefferson, I think Jefferson Ocean. They chuck it on the ship because that continual motion, and you also get the brine, the astringent taste, the Band-Aid taste, basically, out of some of the stuff. But it's really interesting to see how we've tried to speed things up. You put staves in the barrel to do it faster, or you agitate it more, or you go through cycles more, or you pressurize it, and all these interesting stuff to try and speed up. But at the end of the day, to the ribs point, there's still a chemistry that has to occur that takes time.
Well, yeah, and I'm a firm believer. I was talking about this morning with a friend of mine. Talk about imparting wisdom. Like when I was young, I didn't have any damn wisdom. I mean, I didn't have any to impart. You know what I mean? But now, one of the things we were talking about this morning was, I'm a firm believer that for every problem a man solves, we create two more. It just at least two more. Because we're so short-sighted.
Yeah. So take this.
Go down the path of trying to make this whiskey fast. As you go down the path, it's like, what other problems are you creating? You don't even know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Take that to, all right. So here's a twist on that one. EJ Helbert and I were talking a little bit online today about this, because we were talking about doing the questions and answers for the thing this afternoon we did, and he's like, in InfoSec, are we even set up for success? Can we be successful in this industry despite of ourselves? Because everything we seem to do seems to almost make everything worse, let's be perfectly honest. And it's a really interesting thing, and nobody wants to really discuss it, because it's, if that's the case, do we make something better by literally sitting back and just taking our hands off the steering wheel? And it's some really interesting conversations to have on that one, to go, are we, simply by interfering and simply by doing what we do, actually making a situation worse?
My belief is we are.
Yeah.
Well, and that was what we were that was the big part of my talk on Tuesday was, simplicity. Stop trying to fix shit all the time. Why don't you get rid of some shit?
Yeah, there we go.
You
guys, God, what was the book? It was the butterfly effect, and it was not the butterfly effect from the chaos theory effect. It was the butterfly. Go back in time, step on a butterfly, changes the course of history, emerge out.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you turn up and it's a different president, yada, yada, all this other kind of crazy stuff.
You would cancel out the reason why you went back in time in the first place.
Yeah.
Like if I went back in time to stop the coronavirus, well, then I would have canceled out the reason why I went back in time to begin with.
Yeah.
And so you have this conundrum.
Right. Yeah.
Alternate realities based off of a different timeline. I mean, it's some really interesting stuff. And again, the problem is at the moment sorry, I'm getting yelled at for taking the key. Do I have to take the keyboard, as in you want me to touch the keyboard, or is Jesus taking the keyboard? I'm not entirely certain which one.
What's going on? Oh, in the chat? I never watched the chat. Is Jesus? Oh, Jesus! Oh, take the keyboard. No, there's a saying in the Christian circles like, Jesus, take the wheel.
Oh,
right. So this.
Okay, then
this is a play off.
Yeah, Jason.
This is a play off of that.
Yeah. Right. Sorry, wrong. Bless his little cotton socks.
Yeah, you just needed that language translated. It's all good, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny that you're saying like, Jesus, keyboard, what? Where? Yeah. I love it, man.
Oh, yeah. But it is interesting. Jason, I have no freaking clue. Sorry. You make an assumption and an incorrect one, and I mean that very nicely. It's really interesting when you take a look back and go, okay, what can we, because again, back to what Ryan was saying about communication. How can we pass on what we have learned in our time in this industry without adversely affecting the next generation, the generation after? Can we do that? Or do we just sit back and go, enjoy? You've got an entirely different perspective, an entirely different viewpoint, an entirely different landscape to deal with. Nothing that we hand over is going to be relevant. Or maybe it's back to the simple stuff. Simplify things, take accountability. After that, you're on your own.
So let's unpack that for a half a second.
Go for it.
Traditionally speaking, as one ages through their familial cycles, what do? They downsize, they simplify, they reduce the clutter in their lives, they reduce and again, I'm being very general here. I'm making broad generalizations, very broad.
All right, keep it going. We can go
But
with
this. In the quintessential atomic family model, if you will, there is that process of downsizing.
I just don't want happens. Oh, that's awesome.
Every single time. Every single time. So where I'm going with that is I think that is the best advice we can give. I think there are examples where that is, seen in our culture and our society. And we know simplification is the key. We know that if we continue on the trajectory of complexity, eventually it's going to be so flipping complicated, nobody's going to be able to do anything because no one's going to know what's going on.
Right.
Because the reality is you can exceed an amount of complexity that a human being can unpack within a reasonable work period. And so if you make
that one by me again.
Too complicated.
All right.
Evan, you're on mute.
That's like the hashtag. Yeah. But and when you talk about solving problems, there are ways to solve the problems that you solve without adding complexity. When you actually take away things, that's risk avoidance, right? That's there you go. I love it. That's risk avoidance, and that's something totally different. Oh shit! There's something in my nose. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was there. But simplifying things actually, I think, reduces problems because you reduce the problem surface. You reduce the number of things that can have a problem when you take things out of the equation. You know what I mean? And so what happened, we all know it, right? And so we impart this wisdom that we have. And the reason why we have wisdom is because we've lived through certain things, right? We've lived through breaches. We've lived through incident responses. We've lived through the calls at 3:00 in the morning where I fall asleep in the data center because I'm now on day 3 of not going home. You know what I mean? We've lived through that shit. And so then that's what so much of imparting wisdom is don't make the same damn mistakes I made, right? Don't take shortcuts. Take the time to think things through. Don't keep installing applications. Don't just, get to the root of the problem. I preach so much about the basics, the foundation, the fundamentals of information security. That's because that's where your fucking problems are. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not exciting. And I know you roll your eyes when I say it all the time, but fuck, do it. You know what I mean?
That is literally going to be on our tombstones, isn't it? Let's be honest. Just do the freaking basics.
Yeah.
My God.
I am astounded at the amount of basics that don't get done when we know for a fact that the majority of attacks are only successful because the basics didn't get done. I just don't get it because the math doesn't work. Wait, so you're telling me my house is going to burn to the ground if I light fires in my kitchen?
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. So I'm going to light some fires in my kitchen.
Somebody tagged me on a LinkedIn post today. I'm going to find it because it really ticked me off. I don't mind being tagged in some posts, but this one, and I feel bad because I think there was somebody that I had on a panel, and I'm like, you really didn't get it. You just didn't get it. I'm trying to find it. Where is it? I was really pissed. There it is.
Well,
here it is. No, I'm going to read it.
Share it. Share the screen. Share it.
No, because I don't want to embarrass them. I want to be at least a little sensitive-ish, kind of. Bad actors are using AI and machine learning to attack cybersecurity. The bad actors are evolving rapidly and coming up with additional and more automated ways to take your money. Increasingly, they're using more advanced technology like AI and machine learning to create more advanced threats. To combat these advanced threats, it requires a great deal of discipline and experience in staff and partners to continually identify and defend against them. It is imperative that your security team use automation and AI to respond with a proper and responsive security posture. And I'm like, this shit, fucking when I can still bust in with password 1234. I don't need fucking AI and machine learning to tell me that shit. So I have responded.
A simple email. It's still easier to go through your secretary than it is to go to firewall.
No. And if anybody does decide to Google bits of that on LinkedIn, please do not put their name up. I want to be at least a little civilized, kind of. I want to protect that.
Was it Dark Trace again?
No, for once it wasn't. It wasn't those dingleberries.
Well, this is what I've always said when it comes to automation. If you don't have your foundation in place, you don't have your fundamentals, that's cool. You can make automation. I'll just attack the automation.
Exactly. The same thing.
Fine, no problem. I will hijack that agent job that has the same shared password for the 40 other jobs that it runs. Right. That's living in clear text in an INI file because you're using it to connect to a legacy system and run an old school batch job.
Yeah.
It's just.
And that's my thing. I really wanted to respond. I feel bad. I feel bad, but I don't feel bad. I'm actually going back to the site because I think I might put some stuff in there.
Well, why don't you just see if the default password on their website actually works? Get the product manual, try the default password. When it works successfully, screenshot it and send it to them and say, about your product.
Here's the problem. This is an MSP. MSSP, MS.
Oh,
it's one of those.
Doesn't change my scenario.
Oh, yeah, no shit. It's one of those where I'm actually going to put a comment. I'll deal with it later. I'm hanging it because I'm like, okay. I'm frustrated because I'm like, no, this is not the shit that we need to be teaching people. You want to maybe go flog the latest and greatest, quit that shit. Again, back to the fundamentals, back to the simple stuff, back to the basics, back to the easy things that aren't sexy, won't get you a talk at RSA, but if you roll your bloody sleeves up, will sure as hell take you off the bottom rung of that damn ladder.
Yeah.
Can we teach that? Can we, again, before we get too old, gray, and keep forgetting what the hell like we've done for breakfast, I mean, is that something, do you think that we can actually get to sink in?
Well, but it's interesting you say that because, our mission is, crazy, right? It's to fix a broken industry. And so people say, well, do you think I'll actually be able to do that? I'm like, if I don't, I'll die trying.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Right.
What's wrong with dying for a purpose that's altruistic, that helps other people, and that's one of the big reasons why we do because it's funny. I'm not going to preach or anything, but I've seen God do so many things in my life that I can't deny that he's there, and one of those things is the mentor program. We started the mentor program with 6 students in 2010. And this year we had 2,500 students. That was 2,500 people that got free training, and we get feedback all throughout the year, right? We're still getting it, regularly. Oh, I can't believe you guys gave that stuff away for free and whatever. So we made a difference, and it's stuck in their brain like, wow. And I've heard a lot of people say, and I've seen it too, I'm going to pay this forward.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, you should.
Yeah.
And so, and it gives us a time, 14 sessions that we spend with them. Mm-hmm. We spend about half that time telling you what you need to pass the exam, and we spend the other half of the time imparting wisdom that we've learned over the years.
Fun. Yeah.
So we're trying to find things like that because I do want to leave industry in a better place than the way we found it. We've lived through kind of the golden age, maybe not even golden. We're not even at the golden age yet, but this Wild West stage of our industry. We're like that cowboys on the frontier, that are like, hey, there ain't no laws, so I'm the law, and that's totally true, right? You look at the laws in this country about information security, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986 is still the number one law we use to prosecute computer crimes in the United States?
I know.
What? I mean, I know it's been amended, but wow. So I don't know, man. I think that's what we owe our industry. That's what we owe the next generation, is to, and set our expectations appropriately. I think a lot of us burn out because we probably had shitty expectations. You can't get disappointed if you don't have any expectations.
Right.
So
Well, and
try to help people.
The problem is or one of the problems, it's the enterprise approach that doesn't work on small business. So we talk about the basics, the foundations, the fundamentals. Great. Where are the tools for that? We have some of the tools for that.
Yeah.
There's more tools that are needed. Where are the tools for that, so that Joe Schmo, small real estate guy with maybe 2 or 3 offices can do the things he needs to do without necessarily having to possess all the knowledge? And I know you're up to things.
Yeah, so that's why we built it. And we've built it, I've talked to the folks that have built the open source stuff, and we've had the conversations. And they're like, yeah, have at it. And so we're building it out. And the whole idea is to build basically 3 different boxes, a small version, medium, and I've got the spreadsheet up, and a small, medium, and a large version. And everything is pretty much so included in each one of them. So, I mean, I'm not product pitching, but, so the whole logic is...
I'm pumped to see that, man.
Yeah,
actually, you and I, Ryan, catching up on this some
Monday. You're my only meeting. It's a mandatory sanctioned day off. However, you.
Oh no! Well, then take the damn day off. We'll do another day.
No. He's permitted to do that, but I put him on a mandatory day off tomorrow and a mandatory day off on Monday, minus the time with you, because that's not really work, Chris. It's never work when we get to hang out with you.
Okay, we'll geek out. We'll be geeking out. But I mean, the logic is to build. So we're building that with the logic, and we need to have this conversation, is to build the security studio into both the small, medium, and large offering. We're building in asset discovery. We're building in monitoring. We're building in patch verification.
I love it.
We're building in automated scanning framework. We're building in continuous pen testing. We're building in some monitoring on the interesting side of the world. We're going to build some of that in. We're doing some other stuff in there as well. And the logic is to build this into 3 boxes, do a monthly amount per month. We're hoofing it off. We've got a really good SIM that we're hoofing it off to that gives us access. We've got multi-tenancy, we've got all agreements, and they're doing it for a really nice deal for us. And they will do the first line support. So they'll do tier 1 tech support for us. And we don't care. I want every single piece of fucking data I can find in your company. Hoof it out. I'm not going to charge you per IP. I'm not going to charge you for bandwidth. I'm not going to charge you for utilization. Give me all of your data. That way I can better understand what the hell we're looking at. And so that's the plan. Got it all scaled out, got the pricing model done, got it all built out. And that's what we're going to market with. That's why we're starting to build out like HHS a little bit more civilized and all that kind of good stuff.
I would love to integrate however we can, because our rules are, we will integrate and play ball with any, as long as we're in alignment with our mission, right? So if you were a CrowdStrike or somebody else who was, charging an exorbitant fee and taking advantage of people, well, then that's not who we partner with. That's not who we want to integrate with. But, somebody like you and the cool you do, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, the logic is, we're out there to try to make enough to actually pay bills and then give back. But the logic is to get eyes, to give people visibility, and to not go in and go, well, you got 60 devices, so that's 60 workstations. We're going to put an agent on everything. Shit never works, because tomorrow you got 65 and the following day you got 54. When you got a server, that's going to be a little bit more money. Or you got a couple of endpoint and you IoT. Oh, we can't do IoT. Fuck that. If it's on the network, if it's farts anywhere near the network, we're going to capture it. And we're going to figure out what it is as best as we can, and we'll do whatever we can with it. And then we'll get the first level support stuff done, and then hand it back to somebody to go, hey, chaps, this is what we see. What do you got? Who's your IT person? Who's going to help you out? I don't want to do that. I'd like to avoid that at all costs, but I want to make it idiot-proof, simple, easy, acceptable, usable, and in plain simple English. I'm building the propaganda one page out in plain simple English. I'm actually using some of the, there's a few other companies doing something similar. One of them actually says that they're COVID safe. So I have that in my, I have that actually.
COVID safe.
They're COVID safe. So I have that as a bullet point in mind. I actually, I've got a.
We need to make sure our SaaS software
It's COVID safe.
COVID safe.
Yep. They have it as COVID-19 safe. And so I put a paragraph in there. I'm like, you know, I said this one's got to be, and it's in our propaganda. I'm like, hey, I got to include this one because we get fed up with all the FUD. However, we too can ensure that you never have to meet us, you never have to come in close proximity to us, or we aren't going to sneeze on you unless you specifically request us to. And I just left it at that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And it's, you know, I've gone through it and I've taken the piss out of some of this stuff. One of them's like, hey, we can zero false positives. And I'm like, no, nothing's perfect, but we'll make sure to do our best to only alert you when we think you need to know. I mean, and so I'm
Right.
putting it in English.
And what people want is a commitment to them, their needs, and improvement over time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Because we've learned that in our own business. In our side, you know, the consulting business is actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know, really, it's a great company. You know, but software as a service company, holy fuck! I didn't realize how hard that was. It is.
Yeah, it's
But
tough. We got a lot of folks who are looking at this going, hey, this is really cool. You're going back to the best, right? You know, you're going back to the basics. Because I know a bunch of the, obviously I know the deception space. So I'm looking at going, can we put cost-effective, simple and usable, scalable, easy deception into this? Even some basic stuff, a couple of computers, a couple of thermostats, and a couple of credentials and some other stuff, just some stuff that gives us a little bit more of an advantage without doing anything stupid on price. And so just look, and by the way, all of those things are included across the board. There's no like, well, you only get this if you pay for this. And you only, no, you're getting everything. I want you to have full visibility. End of discussion.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So that's
no checkpoint licensing.
No.
Do you remember checkpoint licensing back in the 90s? I could never figure it out. I was like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm licensed for.
I mean, they're all, I'm gonna say they're all doing it. A lot of them are still doing it today. Some of the stupidity. I mean, you look at some of it, it's like, well, hang on, I need the device, and then I need this, and I gotta have a bit of this, and I need that, and well, oh, you need more of that because you got more of these. Oh, you got endpoints as well. You gotta have an endpoint. Like, oh, you got Windows endpoints. We need a Windows endpoint. Oh, you got Mac. So you need.
Yeah. Yeah, that checkbox is grayed out. Well, how do I uncheck? How do I get that ungrayed out? Oh, you got to add that module.
Yeah. Like,
well,
no, and the other thing we built in as well on these, the other thing that's built in on this, every 2 years we replace the device. No questions asked, don't care about it. You will get another one shipped to you and you will ship the other one back in a prepaid envelope. Every 2 years, another device. Because hardware changes, refreshes happen. I don't want it covered in dust and I don't care about it breaking on your site. I want it back, we'll refresh and we'll reuse them, and it's built into the cost deliberately.
Now you're going to make sure to include a USB license key dongle that you have to refresh, but you can only do it if you have the corresponding CD-ROM.
Oh, I've forgotten those days. Oh.
Well, and the USB dongle is married to the device.
Correct.
Right? So you can't use it somewhere else.
No.
It's like,
no.
Shit, I lost my dongle. Well, you'll need a new device.
All that shit.
Well, shit.
God, I forgot about all that crap. Shoot me now. If I do shit like that, one Jesse will shoot me. But do me a favor, the pair of you, just whatever he leaves, finish it off.
Well, and that's why we've been, one of the things we've learned is how important it is to have a mission and stay focused on the mission. That's why we post all the time, mission before money, because it's really easy to say mission before money when you don't have any money.
Yeah.
Right. But then as you start making money and you're like, oh, our company's a $50 million company. Well, shit, now we got money. I kind of like, but if you stay focused on that mission and you've known to everybody, so then nobody, because at the end of the day, I get to make the call, right? I get to say, you know what, I'm going to take $2 million. I'm going to go fuck around with it.
Yep.
But I've said it so many times that even if I have a moment of weakness, everybody around me will hold me accountable.
Well,
They'd be like,
so
what the fuck,
we
Evan? You
yeah,
hypocrite.
we had to sit down last Friday. So we HHS meets on a Friday evening. We literally were over at the farm. We sit down. The core team sits down over at the farm, and we just go through business and go through stuff. Typically, we always bring food in, and there's always pie. We always argue over the ice cream because Jesse loves cheap and cheerful ice cream that comes in gallon buckets and costs $3, and I love the stuff that comes in small pint jars that cost $6. And there's always a great debate over who brings the best, all this kind of stuff. But there's always pie, there's always food. And we sit down, we talk while we have food. And so last week we actually had a reality check. I'm like, okay, the way I'm building this out, the way I'm scaling this out, and all the other stuff, I said we're going to have money. This seems because of just people are interested in it, yada yada yada. And we're sitting down, I'm like, okay, so we're going to make these decisions now while there's not a pot of cash on the table, because we can make them with our heads and our hearts without the wallets talking at the same time. Because HHS has been run very well, but loosely very well. And now that we're putting money and there's likely to be a chunk of change in X period of time, I want to make sure everything's done properly. All the decisions are made. Who stays, who goes, who's hired, who's fired. How does it work? All the basic simple stuff. And we built into each one of these devices, we built in money that we will put aside to give back and give away. There's money built into every single one of these damn devices every single month, because this is a monthly subscription. Every single month, there is an amount that will be given back or given away to somebody, somehow, somewhere, some why, deliberately.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome, man. I just sent an email. So there was a $500, what the hell you call it, honorarium or whatever for the speaking engagement this week.
Yeah, I think you and I were on the same one. It was maybe the same one that we did. I got a surprise message going, hey, and I'm like, I'll take it, and I'm just going to send it straight off to Hagnati. He'll just get another $500 out of me.
Well, and that's what I did. I said, here, send it to this address, and send it to Mental Health Hackers.
Oh, nice.
In my name.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell am I going to do with $500? I'll just piss it away. I'll buy something stupid.
Right.
At least they'll put it to some good use.
Yeah, I talked to them, they're like, yeah, we'll send it. I'm like, great, no problem. I said, just be aware it's going straight back out to probably Hagnati or somebody. It's just, same way, same logic, same reason.
Yeah, see, and that's what makes us, and that's more wisdom that we can share, right? We're in this. I mean, obviously we have bills to pay. We like things, I like my Harley. I like my pickup truck. I like the things that I like, but I'm not. It's funny because my wife, we're talking about money, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but she said to me, money's the root of all evil. I said, no, that's not true, honey. The love of money is the root of all evil. Meaning if you start, if that's the thing then you'll start taking advantage of people. You'll start taking shortcuts. You'll start going the route of Tenable, where you go Tenable.io and we're going to charge per device, when we, made our life, living off of being affordable for people.
Gosh, it totally was. Yeah. And it sucked. And that's, to me, that comes back to that core. I would love for this thing to just kick ass. I mean, if we get 1,000 or a couple of thousand of these devices in people's hands, we're going to be sitting doing well. And you know what? We're going to have some freaking fun with that money. We will make sure that this industry and the people that can't do things in this industry can suddenly do things in this. We already, a part of the operating agreement is, if we end up cashing out at any point in time, a percentage of the money that we take goes back in and we do the next idea. I've got another 9 ideas lined up, and the other guys have got other ideas. And we've already said, if this thing goes on, we've done it before and I'll do it again, is that the money, we all put a certain amount back in again, and the next idea gets run through it. And we just keep doing that because it keeps bringing stuff in, and it means we can keep handing money out.
Well, and what we're trying to do with Curious.io is we charge what we charge now. In most companies, when you start getting adoption, you raise prices. We're actually going to go the other way. We're going to lower prices.
That's cool.
We want this to be a commodity. Everybody, everywhere should always be doing these types of things, right? Risk assessments.
Yep.
And so it's less on that and spend more money on fixing shit or
Yeah.
running your business.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So as we get more scale, we'll lower prices, because I don't want to make more money off of, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
counter to the mission.
That's what kind of where it'll be interesting to see where all these numbers fall. These numbers where we got everything, the small, medium, and large monthly ones. I think it'll be interesting, 12, 18, 24 months down the line, take a step back and go, where are we? Because quite honestly, the logic is if we do this, every single time we sell this to a company, I'm going to look around and go, hey, I need another license or another X number of licenses. We'll do the same to the end. I want to be, we'll do the same thing to the folks that are doing the sock stuff and the stuff. I'm like, hey, another client, that's going to be another X amount of hundreds per month for you guys based off of what we basically start. And the same thing with the open source folks. I've already gotten hold of a couple of folks going, hey, if this goes somewhere, don't be surprised you'll start getting checks to say thank you and do me a favor, keep up on the software, please, kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Same thing. I've got, there's one of our crew is building it. So Jake's building it. He's got his own company and his own thing. And with the HHS team, we're like, yeah, every single month for every single day, even if we own the intellectual property, we're going to pay him off of every single one of these devices. That won't ever change. If we sell 1 million of these things and we're bringing in $1 billion a month, I don't give a shit. If I'm writing a check for him for 10 million a month, kick ass as far as I'm concerned. That means everybody succeeded. And that's how I look at it. That won't ever change.
Well, I think, going back to what we can teach the generation, I think that's part of it too, right?
Yeah.
It's this altruistic nature of us. I know you well enough to know your heart is in this to help people. You come off, I hate people. Well, and we've called you out on that numerous times. I mean, that's bullshit. You love people, and because we can see it. That's how you operate, and Ryan's the same way. I mean, I think we all agree that information security isn't about information or security as much as it's about people.
Yeah.
Right? It's about helping people. And, maybe that's another piece of wisdom that we can impart to this next generation is to don't lose track of people.
Yeah.
The people that suffer when we get shit wrong and the people whose lives we can improve.
And just a little bit of good old-fashioned courtesy, morality, politeness. If we could just sprinkle just a smidgen of the old ways of maybe, think before you speak. Words hurt. Words hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to re-preach that again, including typed words.
Yeah.
Or not, and not just words hurt, but words actually mean something.
Well, hey, I was trying to keep it achievable. You've gone a bridge too far. Words have meanings. Yeah, whatever meaning that I want to assign to it in the moment, I'll just invent a new word for the old word and confuse you.
Right. Or like when somebody calls you a bigot or intolerant, you're like, do you know what that word means?
Right.
Well, yeah, it means blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what it means at all. And if that's what you meant to call me, well, that's actually this. You know what I mean? Like wordsing is hard.
But no, in all seriousness though, like maybe a few of those old lessons from the old, just how to treat people, because that seems to be a major defect, not just in our industry but in the world right now. Just some good old fashioned courtesy, politeness, and the problem is I'm seeing it in public now. I'm seeing in the public spaces where that social contract used to apply.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
They're acting like they're on Twitter.
Well, you saw the presidential debate, right?
Case in point.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone, I have 5 kids. If any one of my kids would have ever behaved like that, they wouldn't have been able to sit down for a week because their ass would have been on fire. We would have beat that shit right the hell out of them. This is what happens when you don't spank your kids, people. You turn into President Trump and Biden.
That needs to be a man. That needs to be a man. That's got to be out there somewhere. This is what happens when you don't spank your kids.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, good grief.
So yeah, so that's my 2 cents on what we should impart is not just lessons learned, but like, hey, did you know you can disagree with someone and not hate them?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can respectfully
Did you
disagree.
know? Did you know you could use logic to defend your point
Without anger?
without calling somebody a name? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many conversations. So I've been doing some trolling because I'm dumb like that. So I have, like many Twitter accounts, right? And so one of my Twitter accounts is my troll account. And so I go around and like, you know, I don't know, I don't really pick on people, but I challenge them like, you say this thing like, I'm blaming Trump for 215,000 deaths. Okay, let's talk about that. Exactly how did that happen? Is it a virus that killed Trump or killed Trump? Almost maybe.
No,
But I mean,
he's the perfect specimen. Didn't you see it today? Apparently, I'm getting the second hand, so I don't. Apparently, I say apparently, but the BBC picked up on it and said that he called himself the perfect human specimen or something. And I'm like, oh, we're screwed.
I just wish you would shut up sometimes, man. It's like, God.
I wish they all would.
But I
I
do
mean,
this.
seriously, all of them. Just nuke Washington. End of discussion. Nuke Washington.
Start over.
Yeah,
Start
do
over.
your damn job.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh man.
Don't drain the
Well, but
swamp.
so I go around and I troll people because I purposely want to see how people will defend their positions.
Right.
I don't do it to and on and on and on. That continues to prove the point that if you can't defend your position, you either change the subject or you attack my character.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It's the same thing. There's no exception. There are people who will actually engage and try to defend their point.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll have this great discussion. When we try to defend our points without going the path of you bigot or whatever people are calling each other, you actually learn shit. I'm like, damn, that was actually a good perspective. Or you are citing facts that I didn't even know existed. So now you actually might have changed my mind.
Yeah.
So
That's I love going over to Cyber Week in Israel for that exact reason. I mean, the art of debate and the art of it's not argument, it's the art of conversation and disagreement and just poking holes in everything. And I love it. For me, that's fantastic. Totally get off on it. Totally love having some amazing conversations there. Because it's, hey, respectful disagreement. Here's why, here's my logic, here's the path on this one. And then, 2 hours later, you're just keep talking about it and you're all, but you can do it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Love heading over there because for the most part, it's always been positive experiences based off of like the conversation stuff.
Well, in the debate, like I have a friend, I'm generally pretty conservative, right? Whatever, good or hate me, love me, I don't care. That's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I have on Monday mornings, he's one of my favorite people to talk to. Every morning, he's our director of operations at Security Studio, or MFR Secure. And I look in because he's got his fingers on the pulse of our analysts. He knows what they're feeling. He knows, and so I love talking to him on Wednesdays. Well, he's a liberal, right? And so we have these conversations, and I'm like, holy crap, I love these conversations because we engage without me trying to change his mind. I'm not going to make you a conservative. I understand that you're a liberal, and I love you as a liberal, right? And it's just this like respectful connection, like he, and it's touchy subjects like, pro-choice, pro-life stuff,
Right.
It's like we can have this discussion without being assholes to each other. Because here's the thing, we have to live on this planet together, so we better find some common ground somewhere. Otherwise, I'm going to end up killing you or you're going to end up killing me.
And I know who you speak of, and so I'd like to think that both of you are somewhat more enlightened. But I think about the families right now that can't have conversations with relatives. Right?
It's sad.
It is sad. And I was talking today before we got on this. I was having a call with one of my former students from one of the PhD courses, and they're working on a dissertation to try to figure out how to introduce a security mindset into curriculum. Like, how do you do this? How do you embed the way of thinking that we have, right? Because you know, and you guys, I've talked about this. There's no trigger. There's no biologic trigger in the digital realm. There's no safety.
Right.
There's no alarm bells, and the only way to do it is with critical thinking. And so it's how do you train that again? And what we ultimately landed on was the education system's actually been heading in the opposite direction for some time now. You know, not teaching that objective thinking. Well, if we don't do that, then we wind up with things like we have where you can't even have a basic functional conversation.
Right.
And you have families that are being broken apart by the news because one's a Fox News watcher and the other one's CNN. And now we're ready to murder each other over a turkey.
Jen's family is, you know, her mother and father have very different views. To their credit, though, they've managed to figure it out. But it definitely, you know, it definitely it makes for lively conversations. But again, to their credit, they figured out how to actually deal with it, at least relatively effectively. But yeah, it's interesting, and it is frustrating because we shouldn't be this way. I mean,
we weren't this way. We actually made a ton of progress. If you guys remember the 90s, we had actually really started to come together with this concept of a global society. We had this cool new internet thing that was full of positives and opportunity and
yeah,
you know, and then business got a hold of it and well, down the shitter it went.
Well, that was, I mean, this is the really interesting, and again, you know, part of the reason I hate to say it, humans do frustrate, scare, annoy the hell. That's why I do love my idea of my AS400s. Like, to hell with a lot of you, because it astounds me. Again, remember, I've come from a different country. I've come from numerous different countries. You come into this country is absolutely fascinating, and it's amazing. I mean, there is so much here, and the people of this country do wear their hearts of the country on their sleeves, much more so than I've ever seen in the UK. Scotland, maybe to some degree, but much more so than in the UK and most other countries I've ever lived in. This country, I mean, it doesn't just take its flag and go, hey, we got one. It waves it in your damn face, for good or for bad. But then to see, I mean, I've been here, 20 odd years, to see the country tear itself literally down the middle. It's not even a 40-60 split or a 30-70 split. It is literally right down the middle. And I'm like, it's so freaking sad. It really is. Because, I mean, you want one person to rally behind. You want one person that's going to carry the flag of the country. And we don't have that. I don't think there's almost anybody in politics, irrespective of whatever path they're on, that has that capability to rally everybody. And I just find it so sad. It's just so freaking sad.
Well, it goes back to something I said before. It's the lack of service. It's a lack of
exactly. Politicians are all sellouts. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not every single one.
I'd love to find a couple of exceptions. There's got to be some somewhere.
There is. I think there is.
Nobody's gonna. Who's giving them a voice? Why don't they have that voice? And then, is it just they get steamrolled? Is it just they're too fucking nice? I mean, all of the above. And that's.
Well, Ryan and I talked about putting together a ticket for 2028.
I got you covered. I got the voting machine sorted out. I mean, we can make it work.
Winning.
Let's face it, yes and S and Dominion and Heart, I'm going to change shit between now and the next 8 years. So the same freaking password 1 through 6 is going to get us into most of the system. So write the ticket. I got you in.
So real quick, just to touch on the whole politician and digital and laws and change and all of that.
Excuse you.
Yeah, I know. I'm a pig. I don't give a shit. I'm like you. Like me, love me, hate me. I don't really care. So on that point, when I see the big tech go before Congress and I see Congress try to troubleshoot its iPhone, I feel, I'm just saying, you know, We need a refresh here, guys. If you don't know, if you're busy trying to recover the family photos from the recycle bin in the middle of a hearing about antitrust, you clearly don't fully grasp what you're talking about. I mean, or go back to the first time they had Zuckerberg in front of them. I mean, it was just an outright disaster. So where does this internet go? What? So to that point, I do think we need some new blood, some fresh blood. I think we need some folks that span the gap, be put into those seats. You know, don't just leave the senior seats for the senior citizens. Leave the seniors, you know, there's got to be something to be done here to close that gap, because if we don't do that, I mean, think of how many politicians are you know, on the wrong side of the analogical digital divide. The majority of them.
Well, then, I mean, to your point as well, I mean, add to the extra fuel to the fire. I was actually just trying to find it while we were talking, but it was it DHS just had that report released on their ability to actually do their own internal security.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about taking both barrels in the feet. I mean, you have an agency that is meant to be upholding our security, and they've gone from being to being
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, and to your point, and now we've got that on one hand, we've got the senators on the other hand who are trying to tell everybody how to run shit. They don't even know what the hell I mean, it's good grief. Talk about the blind leading the blind.
Well, it is. And I'm sorry, but you cannot effectively legislate or regulate a world in which you don't understand how it works.
Big time. Well, and this comes back to us. We're getting old.
Yeah.
We are getting old. We're getting to the point where it's like, okay, at what point in time, you know, we had this conversation, do we lose our effectiveness? I don't want to be an 80-year-old person or a 90-year-old. I still want to do this stuff. I still love this and I have a passion, but I don't want to be the one making policies or even affecting policies, because I had to say it, tech and shit's going to pass me way by at some point in time. And
the thing is, you know, the things that, because I've noticed this in my own life, as I've gotten older, I've gotten less cutting edge on tech. I'm more fundamentals, but yet the innovation is still there because there's still problems to solve. You know, yesterday the problem was this mental health. And so I got to thinking, like, how would that integrate into risk? And so, you know, you start thinking about, you know, let's say that on my team, if half of my team, my information security team at a company is you know, struggling with depression or burnout, that's probably going to have an effect on the effectiveness of my security program, wouldn't you think? That's probably going to raise the risk bar. So now I'm like thinking, oh shit, okay, I got to figure out how to manipulate or figure this out, because the way we do most risk assessments, the way the math works is you apply weights and weights and weights and whatever, things get weighted all over the place, and you know, it all makes sense. But the thing that's different here is this is blend. You know what I mean? Like if my security team, so I don't know, anyway, the innovation is still there. It's still very much alive because we're focused on the problem. The thing that's different is, you know, I'm not writing much code anymore. You know, I can write code, but I'm not writing much code anymore. You know, so I think even that, because one of the things we're also trying to figure out with FR Secure is I would love every one of our executive leaders to retire here.
Right.
I love them. They're effective. We owe it to them as they build this company. And so we've come up with this concept called sidelining. And I know other companies have done it before, but basically we're going to keep you around, continue to pay your salary. You're going to have an office in the corner, you know, whatever. You come and go as you please. You work on your own schedule. And the reason why you're here is because we want to tap into your wisdom and your name and who you are. That's the value you now bring as opposed to doing projects and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's where we go. That's where I plan on going, is being a sideliner. I'm gonna sideline.
I like that idea. To me, actually, that makes a lot of sense because that is one of those like, hey, you have so much experience and knowledge. I just want to be able to tap into it. I want to be able to sit down. I mean, I love, I sit down with Jen's father. I mean, he's just one of those freaking amazing individuals. And there's others I like doing that with. And it's one of those things that's just for me, I mean, he's ridiculously accomplished, emeritus chairman of the Smithsonian, all sorts of other just fantastic. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You imagine meeting him for the first time. Yeah. The first time meeting with him was intimidating to say the very least, in a very positive way, but definitely intimidating. And
see it
so,
on my screen, Ken.
yeah, that's kind of interesting, the owl and the thing going on. But it's another one of those where just sitting down with him and just asking for advice, asking for his thoughts. And okay, there's differences in gaps and stuff like that, but it's like, okay, I know how I can take that lesson and apply it over here. And just having access to that has been absolutely amazing.
Well, and Chris, without you maybe even realizing, you are becoming that person.
You don't even.
No, I mean, no, it's totally true.
I know.
Because I talked to Ryan, who spent that time with you in person. Like, this is cool. You wouldn't believe this. Just about you as a person.
Just
right.
Me.
You are
just me.
I know, but it's the same thing that your father-in-law. Did you say father-in-law?
No, not quite. Jen and I are just Jen and I. Yeah, but her father, yes.
So Jen's father. It's the same thing that like you're talking about Jen's father.
Yeah.
People are starting to look at you that way.
Well, that scares me. I got to be honest. That does scare me. But yeah.
But it could scare you because I don't know. It's good because it gives you now you have the stage, you have the platform.
Yeah, I mean you can affect
whatever
change.
wisdom you want to.
And guys, this is part of the getting old. Nobody looks to a 20-year-old for sage advice.
Yeah, that's.
And if you do, it ain't sage advice.
but remember, I mean, we were all there. I would lay money. We were all there. We all walked into leadership offices when we were 20, and I mean, we were giving that kind of advice. They weren't necessarily listening to us because we were still pimple spotty youths and all that shit. But I mean, we were giving that advice.
Well, I mean, like sage life advice. I ain't talking work advice.
Oh yeah, no, sage life. Yeah, you're right.
Nobody goes to a 20-year-old and says, "So, been getting up in the middle of the night to pee a lot lately? What's that all about?"
Right. Or you go to a 20-year-old. Hey man, I'm having some marital issues. Can you help me out?
Right.
Oh,
you ever been through this before? No, I'm 20. I've barely lived.
It takes me twice as long to pee. Is that normal?
You do get to a point where you're like, it is at that point.
Like I've been standing here so long, just standing here so long trying to pee. My foot fell asleep. Is that normal? No, that's not normal. Okay. Is that diabetes then? Yeah, maybe. All right.
Oh, flipping, yeah. Pills, little green pills for gout and other ones for this and ones for freaking bloody stupid pill for bloody for whatever crap's floating around in the air that's annoying the hell out of the brain.
Oh yeah, you gotta have one for this and that, and
I'm done. I'm done. At least my
travel bag doesn't sound like a rattle when you pick it up. You're not actually an adult.
At least my multivitamins. At least my multivitamins are still chewy. I got the whatever it is.
Oh, the gummies, yeah.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah.
I crave those in the morning. It's like a little candy. It's like a little treat for me when I get up in the morning is to have my gummy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I love this. And so when I run out of gummies, I'm like, or actually Marlis bought me, my wife, Marlis, she bought me like the vitamins you swallow, not the gummies. Yeah. Right? And so I got up, I was like, what the fuck is this? Where's my treat? This isn't a gummy. So I was like, I can't do this. She's like, oh, come on. Do you really need the gummies? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I need the gummies.
Yeah.
I do need the gummies.
You want me to take
and I need
things?
And I need 20 minutes to pee, so leave me alone, please.
I don't want to get to that point. I swear, I think we were off air. We were joking about, I plot my course to Vegas for DEF CON these days. going out by, petrol stations. I do not want to be plotting it via how often I have to empty the freaking colostomy bag as I drive down the damn road. Yeah, that shit ain't happening. Yeah.
Well, there might be a day when you might have to time it by, when you need to have your diaper changed again.
No.
Or you take a page out of my old man's book and you just roll with it. He had a bout of colon cancer, so now he wears diapers.
Oh.
And, no, I'll tell you what, embraced it to an embarrassing level. So we'll be in line at the store and he'll just announce, "Hey, I peed my pants."
Hey,
right?
just took a shit.
Now keep in mind, I said he had colon cancer, not bladder cancer. Because you see, it's more convenient this way. I don't have to get out of line.
Oh.
It sounds like something I would do.
This is something this is why we don't take him out in public much.
Yeah. You realize our crew are talking about flipping Cummings and engines and diesel mechanics, and Tim Krabick's on. They're all geeking out. I need to get Jesse on this one. Jesse be having conversations about welding torches and all sorts of crazy shit that I know nothing about.
But here's the deal too. I mean, I know that industry, we've said it before, is not young, and we're not that old, right? Chris, you and I are going to be 50 this year.
Yep.
Ryan's going to get his driver's license this year. So,
legally going to get his driver's license.
Right.
Right. Not one I printed off.
Exactly.
But, so we're not like, it's not like we're 70, 80 years old. But in terms of, our industry, and sometimes you feel older than you actually are because shit just goes so fast. Shit just seems to change and change and change and change and change. And I think one of the reasons why I have also, other than the fact that I'm in management now, which changes everything, you come to a point in your career, and it'll happen to everybody. If you're new to this industry, you'll probably come to a point where you'll have to choose. Do I stay the tech or do I go management?
Yep.
It's hard to do both. You can tinker, in tech and still be in management, but it really does. If you want to be great at it, you have to focus on it.
It's Amazon have been talking to me about that. They reached out. They wanted to have a couple of conversations because they have it's like a fellow track. So back to the engineering days when you had fellows and all that kind of stuff. They have a fellow track where they've got like a senior geek and something and a fellow or whatever it is. And they reached out a while ago, and we've been kind of doing a bit of a dance on it about, hey, they got a couple because they got so many different areas. They've been talking about that one. I'm like, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. But again, having spent so much time at the moment in that consulting side and, Dungeons and Dragons for business, tabletop exercises and stuff, there's a part of me, I enjoy tinkering with tech now. I'm, building up the EEG stuff and the brain stuff is fun. I enjoy the other stuff I do on the tech, the stuff I do for the various VCSO stuff. But I think I enjoy it because it's more I'm tinkering it. It's not that I have to do it 24/7 by 365. And that's part of it. Plus, it's Amazon. Who knows? Yeah. Build up the company. Don't have to worry about it.
Right. But how much do you think we owe the next generation to men?
I kind of like where Ryan's head was on this, which is, and yours as well, which is some fundamentals, some basic principles and some fundamentals. And to me, you almost need a book for that. I think it would be freaking awesome to put something together that has that, the basics of being a human, the basics of our industry, and the basics that we need to pass on. And after that, it's like, we're here if you need us.
Well, I wonder if it got skipped. I really do. I've met the people out in the world now, and I'm wondering if we skipped, because I know how the world worked when I was a kid, and you guys do too. There were some rules, there were some contracts, there were boundaries, there were social contracts and expected etiquettes, and it was just there. It was omnipresent, and then it just kind of went away. So, I really, and I believe our species needs those things to function as a society. And when you take the governor off, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it's hard to honestly, it's hard to disagree with that. It really, really is. And, you can't blame, I'm not blaming parents. I'm not blaming the youth. It is what it is. Yeah, I think it is what it is. It's happened. Great. What can we do? There's the argument, we went back to what we were talking about earlier about the security side. Our generation, we've got problems. Let's face it, we're not going to win this one. Next generation beneath us, a little bit iffy. The ones coming up, I love what EJ said, and EJ said it really, really well, which was, that generation seems to be actually starting to ask the questions. And at that point, it's like, how do you foster that? How do you enable that? How do you continue to do that? And then how do you give guidance without saying, well, you have back to the mathematicians, physicians, and stuff like that. How do you say you can't do that? And go, look, here's what we did. Here's how we did it. Here's some things that we learned. The rest of it, have at it. Enjoy yourself. Go with a clear and free mind.
Well, I know one of the things that I proposed today on a call was making it mandatory for all 8th graders. They have to take mis- and disinformation training. Welcome to how to identify a fact. Welcome to how to vet information.
This doing that.
Is a foundational class.
We're doing that on Wiser next Wednesday. We're doing that as a Wiser one next Wednesday, deliberately about disinformation and misinformation. Yeah, that's huge.
And I think it should be junior high curriculum. I think once you're to that 7th, 8th grade level, you have enough going on cognitively. You've learned enough to start to be able to actually learn those concepts.
Yeah, 12, 11, 12, 13 years old, yeah.
Yeah, without it resulting in immediate boogeyman syndrome.
Right.
Because basically what you're going to say is, well, the world lies to you. I mean, that's kind of your opener in that class. The world's full of shit, and here's some of the forms and flavors it comes in. Right. So, but I think they need it. I think, and I hate that I have to say that we've created a society where that is now unnecessary.
So, okay, actually, that's okay. So now, okay, let's take a step back. I don't know how far back we can go, right, without going out and doing some research. We've had skewed propaganda in news and media for a long, long time.
Yes.
First World War, Second World War, definitely Korean War, definitely Vietnam. Yep. In the UK. We've definitely had that.
Every election cycle ever.
There we go. All of that. So that's existed for quite some time. I mean, you look at snake oil. I mean, let's face it, snake oil came out of the 1800s in this country when, this was going to fix everything. And the propaganda around it.
Wait a second, it didn't?
It fixed a few things. Caused other things to go green and moldy. But I wonder, how did we deal with it? Or maybe it just wasn't as much. Maybe it was the newspaper.
No, because it was a sprinkler, not a fire hose.
Yeah, okay, then there we go. It was one news channel.
It was a sprinkler. I got a little bit here and a little bit there, and maybe Jeff at the hardware store said something about something that he read, and I got a little bit in my Monday paper, and but it was a sprinkler. It was.
Didn't have these freaking things 24/7 by 365.
Fire hose.
There we go. Yeah.
I think about I'm a visual guy, right? And I was thinking about visuals the other day, and I was like, the alert on my phone is equivalent to a dude like popping up in my window. Hey, excuse me. Did you know what's going on outside right now? And I thought about that. I'm like, that'd last all of about 5 minutes. If somebody was actually popping up in the window, that would last all of about 5 minutes before I'm like, look, dude, pop up in the window one more time. So help me God. This is going to be a bad end of your day.
Same with when you LinkedIn, perfect example, when somebody just comes into a LinkedIn post and leaves a name. with no fucking context.
No context.
Drives me nuts. I'm like, you have literally walked into a meeting room, opened the door, yelled somebody's name, literally yelled it, closed the door and walked off. What the fuck? And when you put it in that context, people go, oh my gosh, you're right. And I'm so sorry. I'm like, and I try to be nice sometimes. But that's what it is. You're right. When you visualize it that way, it'd be like, no, this shit ain't happening. Right. But we don't do that. We just don't do that. Yeah, I don't know. The propaganda thing.
It's the volume. It's the volume. It's not. So I don't want to die on the hill of propaganda. That's as old as time.
Yeah, but it's
the volume of negativity that you're exposed to, unprecedented in the history of humanity.
This goes back to the social contract style of things as well. This goes back to that. Yeah.
You have never been exposed to this volume of opinions of the tribe. You've never been exposed to this volume of negativity at this rate, at this consistency. You're not wired for that. Nobody is. Right. And you're now starting to see the effects of that in the way people are behaving, in the fracturing of the society that we've tried to build, in the, because it's personal experience. Earlier this week, same thing happened to me the week before. Jumped on Twitter, lasted all of about 10 minutes before I had to get away from it. Because I started having feelings. I started getting upset about the things I was seeing, and I'm like, whoa. That's not how you find happiness.
So it's interesting. Bray just said delete Twitter, and to me, it's like it isn't just Twitter. I mean, it's great you've deleted one, but I mean, okay, perfect example. We were
and if I wasn't on a mission, I would.
Yeah.
Well,
same kind of thing.
But dude, you haven't seen Social Dilemma yet. Go watch it. Seriously, because you can't escape social media. You may not be involved with social media yourself, but the people you're interacting with are. Mm-hmm. So if you want to have any hope of understanding what it is that they're thinking, the information that they're getting, and how to interact with them without setting them off, without triggering them, I mean, you have to understand how they're being manipulated. It truly is manipulation. The fact that our country has never been more divided than it is today, and to your point, Chris, it's right down the middle. It's so divided.
Yeah.
How do you conquer a powerful enemy? You divide it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So to think that this stuff isn't being used by nation state, by China, by Russia, I mean, because it's sold to the highest bidder. If you want to manipulate what information you're getting fed, buy it.
Even we're doing it to ourselves. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. We know that there's manipulation. No two ways about it on the media. And who was it? Facebook or Twitter said that they would delete all the political ads on November the 4th. I'm like, you assholes.
Right. So, yeah. On the one day it's too late.
Yeah. I'm like, you absolute bunch of absolute assholes.
But it's not even it's not even the political ads though. You see different information. We're going to talk about this right in the next three podcasts.
Weeks. Yeah, totally.
You see different information than I see, regardless of whether it's political ads or not. You see this set of facts. You take it as fact. Yeah. I see this set of facts. I take it as fact. They're conflicting facts. What better way to divide us?
Facts. Facts
can't
with each other.
But here's to that point, here's the challenge. Who do you believe? And how? Well, how do you validate?
Well, to your point, Ryan, you can have two facts because there's two different realities. No, you can. Because it's two different realities.
Yes, but not in the same reality. You cannot have conflicting facts in the same reality.
Right, but it's not the same reality. I get my reality from this. You get your reality from that. So we've transferred from the physical reality into a logical virtual reality without even knowing it.
Come in different flavors, because that's another one of those analog human digital life. When I go outside, now my perception of reality, just to draw the line, because I know somebody will jump on that, namely Chris. My perception of reality is one set of things. However, the starting position in which I begin to perceive is equal to the next person in the same geographic space.
Yes.
So Evan and I both walk outside of a building together.
Yep.
We are starting from the same spot.
Yeah.
Same information to then build our perception of what we think we see. When we get into the digital realm, we are not starting from equal positions. We are not looking into the same space and getting the same facts, and therefore our perceptions don't even have a fair shot to form equally.
So here's the other thing that gets here's the other challenge with that one. Perfect example. So we're both walking down the streets, and we both see situations. We interpret them differently based off of our history. No two ways about it. And, you know, I interpret someone running as an alarm. You interpret someone running as, hey, they're out for a jog. So we have that based off of different situations. But in the digital world, the problem we then have is those are then compressed. We're basically filtered down this one where it's like, okay, I'm going to hone you in more and more on here, and you're going to get honed in more and more on here. And even though we maybe have a different perception that we could probably come together with pretty quickly, like, hey, that person is just out for a jog because they're in jogging shit and da-da-da-da, we can do that quickly. The digital world has done this to us more and more and more and more and more. So that even though we might have this, the information sources that we see don't let us come together even remotely anymore. That's the problem, and it's done.
The problem, correct.
And okay, so I mean, one of the crew out there, Braid, said, "Hey, delete Twitter." Well, okay, I'll go delete Twitter. Not, but I'll go delete Twitter. But I'm still going to hear it from you two, or I'm still going to hear it from Mo, or I'm still going to hear it from 20 people around me, unless we en masse go, dear Facebook, delete account. Nothing's really going to change.
Right.
Well, what can change is how we interact with the platforms. Okay, so the platform is designed to give you what will keep you most engaged. Unfortunately, human beings being the garbage piles they are, it is negative, it is violent, it is sensational, it is racist and sexist and awful and evil, which is why every time we plug AI into the internet, 5 minutes later, it's calling for nonsense.
It wants to blow up the Jewish nation, basically.
Right, okay, cool. I don't know what its deal is, but I'm guessing it's the internet.
Yeah.
So human beings inherently being that way, what does the platform do? It says, cool, figured you out. I am going to feed you exactly what you showed me that you were interested in eating. If, you know, and I've done this myself with my feeds, the more positive I put in comments, the more positive content I like, the more positive content I see. Right? So I don't think we can change the tools, at least not right away, but I think we can start to maybe change the people. So back to the youth, back to, hey, by the by, maybe don't say that. Maybe I got to channel grandma right now and go, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing.
Say nothing, exactly.
You know, and the same, I think, applies to our industry. How many times do people get all pissed off that it isn't going the way they want? They say some shit. Somebody hears it. Now we got strife in the team because somebody heard a thing. And
yeah, I mean, it's I love. So I mean, obviously I'm Colorado based, so 303. Although 303 is all over the place, let's face it, and it's a family. But good grief, it is a dysfunctional family at times. I love them, but man, it's dysfunctional because again, it's especially in the digital world. I don't have the ability to put inflection in it. I can't use these, not as effectively enough. Fucking emojis, somebody needs to take that shit out and shoot it. But I can't use these. I can't emphasize. I can't do what I need to do to be able to get a point across effectively, or to show that something is lighthearted or whatever it might be. And so the digital world, it's, you know, how you type it is not how somebody's going to receive it.
Well, and part of that goes to, and I was talking about this today too, pronouncing an emoji. See, language happens in multiple places in the brain they're discovering. And one of those places is the risk center. One of those other places, like, so the question is why when you read something, you have an inner voice talking? Why when you're doing that is that happening? And they're finding that the written word and speech and risk and all these things go together because we are creatures of storytelling. And the stories used to be, that bush over there's got snakes in it, stay away from it. And so because of that, the way that your mind processes this, now introduce emojis and pronounce an emoji.
Yeah, that shit ain't happening.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's, you know, and they're doing some fascinating stuff where they're like, you know, what is that inner voice and where does it live and where does it come from? And it turns out there's an inner voice for things like reading subtitles.
Yeah.
And then there's that inner voice that's your check and balance.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily the same voice.
Right. Oh dear. We have a long way to go. We haven't got much time to do it. I swear we're getting older and bits
You,
of form.
sir, said you weren't doing 2 hours tonight and we're 10 minutes shy.
Yeah, I know I failed. Well, we failed. I failed.
Well, and like I was saying earlier, Chris, you can die trying and know that you lived a good life trying.
There we go. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I think we can make a difference. I do love the idea of the book. I actually think that would be absolutely fantastic to put together. I really actually do.
So we're gonna put together a book called The Old Timer's Guide to InfoSec.
Yeah, I think that would be absolutely fantastic to do. We might have to get a few other folks on that one as well. There's a few other gray-haired folks out there I think would be absolutely, not necessarily bearded gray-haired. There's a lot of old ladies out there that would be absolutely fantastic on this one too.
Front design of the cover, it's a lawn made of ones and zeros, and the old man mowing it has on knee-high black socks, a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah,
and a pair of Adidas.
Yeah, there we go, Jack. Oh gosh, that would be hilarious. Yeah, I think it would be fun to do it. It would be an interesting one to do, and then just somehow or other get it out there, get Hagnatty. Maybe he's not old enough. He's still young.
What about like Jack Daniel?
Jack would be fun. Yeah, Jack would be actually a fantastic one. It'd be interesting to have a conversation with him. I love him. He's such an awesome, yeah. There's some good people out there.
I know some old timers. I had lunch today with Pat Joyce. He's the CISO for Medtronic. I mean, he says he's 2 years away from retirement. He says he's got 2 years left and he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I like the idea.
I'm sure he's got some wisdom to share.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there. I did a full read through of a couple of people's books and helped them do some writing on them. There's some folks that are older that'd be good. Yeah, I like the idea. Cool. All right, so what did we learn? What did we come away with? We are getting old, and just suck it up and accept it. It is what it is. We are starting to rattle like the pillboxes that we appear to be carrying around on a regular basis. It's life. Get over it. Gout hurts. Let's not go through that again. I need to figure out what the hell that was. We have
takes longer to pee.
Yeah, we have a way forward with the young ones. I actually do like the idea. We have a way forward with like the younger generation. I like that, Ryan. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I think we owe it to the next generation just to continue to invest in the next generation, whether it be, and everybody's got something to give, right? You may not be good at this or that, like, and you're really good at public speaking. I'm good at writing. Chris, you're good at both. You know what I mean? So find your skills and contribute in those things to that next generation, right? And don't try to compare. Like, don't think like, well, the thing that you're doing is much more impactful than the thing that I'm doing. That's all bullshit. If you affect one person, one young person, like we had this, what was her name? Andrea Hatcher. Do you remember in the Unsecurity podcast? Women in Information Security. She's a senior at Penn State University. And it's one person that one day that we could impact and helped. And then she invited me to come talk to her, coding group on, a Thursday. And there's like 30 other students. Well, that's just another opportunity. And that's all they want me to talk about. Yeah. Just talk about your experience. Just talk about your path. Just talk about whatever. Well, there you go. That's another opportunity. So look for those opportunities and then capitalize on them.
Yeah.
You may think nobody gives a shit, but they do.
Yeah, it's really nice. I like doing those because it's fun. To your point, it's fun getting the feedback from people going, hey, I had one the other day. Someone was like, "Hey, you might not remember me. You know, we met like X number of years ago." And I was, guys, getting old, casting the brain back, going, "I think I remember that conversation." And we just got talking there, like, and it's awesome. It's really nice because it validates that. Okay, maybe I'm kind of on the right path doing some of this stuff, and it's just really, really cool when that happens. You know, it's not been needed.
That's ultimately what we're here for, and all we can do at this point, right, is just continue to set example. That's what the old timers are supposed to do. They're supposed to set example. What did every old man try to teach every young man? Patience.
Patience.
Why? Because they knew something. They knew the value of it, and they knew that the young man didn't naturally have it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's some just core stuff there. If we don't, and it's only 2 generations ago that was just commonplace.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's it. You're right. I mean, I remember sitting down with my grandfather, and I met my great grandfather a couple of times, which was absolutely fantastic. And it was, yeah, the patience thing was definitely one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. All right. I like the idea. We has worked out.
Yeah, just keep on keeping on, because I think the 3 of us do set good examples. I think the 3 of us do a fairly good job of reaching out to that next generation and trying to help.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So just more of what we're doing. And the thing is too, is if we set the example for others, other people watch us. Other people see what it is that we're doing, and they start doing the same things. You know, like the the mentor program where people they're going to pay it forward. Awesome.
Yeah.
Make this contagious. Make this a disease, a good disease.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be disease, would it? Anyway.
I love it. All right. I have got to go get more water because, you know, I got to drink more of that stuff to get rid of whatever the hell it is. And I also need
Chris,
to
reach out to us if you need anything. Okay.
I appreciate it. Yeah. No, we'll have a conversation at some point, definitely. Yeah. More to just
your text this weekend, the support from both of you this week
meant
more to me than you know. So that kind of stuff really, really helps. So, you know, make sure you have somebody to help you out when you need it.
Totally. Yeah, 2020 does not earning many stars in my book. It's 2020 does need to be taken out, I'm afraid, and 2 bullets in the head, 1 in the heart at this point in time.
Yeah, it can suck it. It can straight up suck it. End of story.
Yeah.
But shit, now we're gonna get to open another fucking can of worms, because I was convicted of this Wednesday morning, Tuesday morning. Shit, I don't remember what morning it was, but it was a morning. And I was bitching. I was having my own pity party about how shitty 2020 was. And then I remembered it was like, oh, did you forget about the blessings? Did you forget about the fact that this was the year that we hired you, Ryan, and you and I got to work together? Did we forget about the blessing that this is the year that Chris, the 3 of us, got to spend this time together?
Okay. Did
we forget about
bits of it? Can we shoot bits of it? Can we just shoot bits of it?
Right.
Totally take out the pinky toe. We can totally take out.
I think so. Yeah, I'm like that. We could, 1 barrel of shotgun on a pinky toe.
Pinky toe is stupid. I don't even know why God created that.
For George.
For George James, kicking.
Yeah. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, and
kicking the edge of the bed.
Coffee table.
Oh my God. But you know what? I came up with a whole list of like 20 things that I'm really, really grateful for this year. And then I realized that, you know what? Maybe 2020 wasn't as shitty as I thought it was. Maybe if you take inventory of all great things that happened this year, you realize that, you know what? It wasn't so bad. I mean, honestly, because I needed to have that conviction, because I was on the same path. I was like, fuck 2020. 2 dogs in 1 year? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Nobody should ever have to do that. But then I was like, oh, but wait. Lots of good things. So anyway, love you guys.
Yeah, damn it. You are right. I hate that logic, but you're right.
Yeah, isn't that fun about him? Yeah, he'll get you. Yeah. That's his thing. Yeah.
Damn it.
I'm over here trying to, push the burning dumpster down the river, and he's like, but wait.
Exactly. I mean,
There's a
honestly,
silver lining.
it's your background, but it's the same thing with the background that you have. It's like, good grief, that was a hellacious trip. But
But
we got some amazing freaking time. You got some amazing experiences.
oh yeah, I got stories for days. I got new rules about how far my wife will travel and what vehicle and
One thing we have to
I'm
do,
telling you,
okay,
man.
between the three of us, we have to make sure that enough money is earned that we can get him a fantastic. It doesn't have to be one of the Vanderbilt ones or whatever the damn things is, but like a Freightliner. You need a
one that
Freightliner, one of
runs.
those. Yeah, a good Freightliner that runs. No
Doesn't
mileage
leak.
on it. 300,000
Well,
miles.
we talked about this, Ryan. We talked about buying a security studio,
Yeah.
Winnebago. You know, like the
We
roadshow,
almost
and
did
then
it
you
at
take
Owl.
this.
We almost did it at One More Labs. We almost bought ourselves. We were actually looking between because Jesse's got a CDL and all that kind of stuff. So we were almost debating between getting like a good long nosed Peterbilt with a trailer on the back and just having us all in there for assessments and research and traveling and DEF CON and shit, or getting like a bus, either one that's converted or just blowing one out ourselves. I mean, we talked that through for years and we almost pulled the
Right.
trigger a couple of times on it.
By next year at this time, we will have this. We'll either have we'll probably have a security studio one, but maybe we'll have a shit show on the side, or maybe we'll have a security shit show one. Who knows?
Or maybe we'll just, I'll get fed up with this one. We'll vinyl wrap it in security shit show, pack it to the gills with tannerite, take it out to the farm and put it out of its misery. That's always an option.
Right.
We could give it to Swede.
Right.
One of the other HHS groups, we could give it to Swede. You've got a good tranny in it. We could take the motor out, quad turbo it, put a decent quad turbo, lighten the whole thing, strip it out, make it look like it is, but like carbon fiber it, the whole damn thing, and then just use it to blow off Porsches. Just randomly, just come up next to it.
Riding around in my 1,400 horsepower RV.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. Yes. That I think is what needs to happen.
It would make a hell of a sleep. No doubt.
I would invest in that.
Nobody'd see that coming. You roll up alongside them, they're like, because everybody wants to pass you. They hate.
Oh, hell yeah. Yep. Yeah. Actually, so I got a spare. We got a spare V12, Mercedes V12 engine, low miles on that thing. That with the tranny in there. I mean, I know some of the folks that have put some of that kind of stuff into some interesting stuff. Well over 1,000 horse in one of those. We could have some fun with that. Should it decide to go that route, we have the technology.
I love it. I love you guys. Have a good night, Chris. Rest.
Drag strips.
Yeah.
Drag strip. Down a drag strip. Take it down to like the run what you brung. Take that down to one of those run what you brung times. Oh,
we're gonna end up talking for another hour. Chris, you go take care. You get some water. Take care of things.
Get some water and get
Ryan,
some work done
yes.
and stuff.
You're starting your 2 days off, so enjoy.
All right.
I look forward to talking to you again on Tuesday. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to see any emails from you. Nothing till Tuesday.
Well, I am taking the RV to its winter resting place.
Well, unless it was personal stuff, you can reach out to me in personal work stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to have a garden hose hooked up to the tranny fill tube while I ride with the funnel in the cab so I can top her off as we go.
Well, I got a big truck, so I can come pull what you need pulled. You know what I'm saying?
We'll get it figured out. Love you guys. Have a good night. Have a great weekend. Chris, I will talk to you Monday. Evan, I will talk to you Tuesday.
All right. Love you guys.